let's go and get ourselves a Toyota Vitz. Or Toyota Yaris if you live in Europe, like I do. So, first of all, we're going to check the late 90s dealership to see if whether or not we can get the pink Vitz, even though I am pretty sure that's not possible. But if it were possible, then this would be the most likely place to find it. And just looking through, seeing if there's one available. And no, there isn't. I know exactly what make and model it would be as well, but sadly it's not there. Unfortunately. However, we can still go to Toyota and get ourselves one of them. So we've got two choices here. We can either choose the Yaris RS 1.5 or the Yaris RS Turbo. And unfortunately, neither of these come in pink, so I cannot do the meme thing, unfortunately. But I can, however, get this thing in a colour of my own choice. What's the power difference? Yeah, you know what, we're gonna get the turbo. I think the turbo is a more palpable choice at this stage. And as for the colour, to be fair, I haven't driven in red for a while, so yeah, sod it, we'll buy this thing in red. Again, because this thing only costs $4,000 more than the other Toyota Yaris, it doesn't really matter that much to me. And hopefully, if I am lucky, I will not have to rely on any upgrades for this. So once again, another 5-race event, and pretty much the entire Yaris family is permitted for this event, even though the event is called Vitz Race. The Toyota Vitz, by the way, like I said before, is known as the Toyota Yaris everywhere else. Improving your skills is essential. This is a series of races between the new generation of hatchbacks. So we've got Fuji Speedway 90s, Suzuka East, then got Motegi East, followed by Tsukuba, and the full Autumn Ring circuit to end off. So before I waste any more of your time, let's head to Fuji. And there is also the Euro Sport Edition included in this competition, interestingly enough. From what I know, at least, this event shouldn't be too hard to pull off, but I'm also a bit preemptive of knowing if whether or not this is going to be another one of those events that looks easy but does not turn out to be easy. We'll just wait and see. $27 points. Yeah, this really isn't going to be too hard, to be honest. I think this is actually going to be pretty easy, to be honest. Plus, since I really couldn't get myself one of the Vitz cars from the used car dealer, it wasn't really possible for me to get the meme car. Although, the other thing that probably helps me out is the fact that this thing is turbocharged. and I already have a 1 second lead out front. Which means that, no doubt about it, I probably chose the best car I could choose for this event. As I am already up by 3 seconds. And pretty much looking like buying the RS Turbo was pretty much a genius move. Especially since I now officially have a 6 second gap at the point of the field. And where it looks like no one will be able to touch me. And just taking a sip of juice from my cup. So for sure I went a little deep there on the brakes, but apparently I was just able to make it through the corner. And it looks as though things at the moment are working out very well for me, as I now have a less than 9 second lead up front. Whilst everyone else is pretty much far behind me at this stage. That's all I can really say at this point. Not really saying much at the moment because, well, my voice, given how much rain and wind, and in some cases sunshine, but mostly rain, wind and clouds and just storms. My voice is not exactly at its best right now. And a 14-second victory in the end, even though the other RS Turbo could not find any pace to get up through the field. Anyway, next. Time for race 2, and where this time we've got 2 Eurosport Edition Yaris's, along with one F model and another 1.5 model. And slightly more points than what we scored before. Before I scored 27, and now I am scoring 29. I don't think that really matters. Excuse me. And because of all the rain, wind, clouds and storms, that we've been having in the UK recently. All of those things have been contributing to high pollen, which often tends to cause plenty of interference in your voice. And of course, as you might have guessed, if your hay fever is really bad, it can also cause interference with your nostrils and also your breathing as well. But either way, no such problems in terms of working my way to the front of the field. And it looks as though, once again, I have pretty much the pace of the field. So that is what I do. As my front tires seem to be taking in most of the wear, but everything else at this time seems to be fine. And while the field is pretty bunched up closely together, I am pretty much out front with what seems like a very distant view. And it looks as though at this point I am not going to give this position back in any way whatsoever. Because I am just dominating that much at the moment. And just seemingly leaving no room for error, which is the way I prefer it to be. And just like that, 2 for 2 in the Vitz race. And this time the RS Turbo could do nothing about the RS 1.5. I'm pretty sure, if I remember, that model technically is the Vitz model. Technically is the pink Vitz car, if I remember. Except for saying it doesn't come in pink, from what I know. Unless it pops up in the dealership. I don't know. Someone might have to tell me about that, but I sure as hell don't know about it if there is one. Yeah, I don't think the pink Vitz are showing up anytime soon, really. I'm also pretty sure that because I was able to get through this pretty easily the last time I raced on the Motegi East course, I think this is probably going to be the same thing again. Again, you know, it would have been nice if it were possible for there to be the pink Vitz in the field, but unfortunately the meme car is not available. Well, at least not in its colour anyway, if that makes any sense. As my voice still continues to be flummoxed by the high pollen. Also, not sure if that's the word I'm looking for, but my voice definitely feels like it is fumbling itself quite hard at the moment. But either way, it doesn't matter because, well, I am pretty much a class act compared to the rest of the competition. As I already have a 3.6 second advantage over the second placed car. Okay, I managed to clear that entire section pretty much flat out, which is what I was wanting to do. Okay. Looks as though I am going to have at least a 10-second advantage by the time we're finished here. Because I had pretty big advantages at both Fuji and Suzuka before. I reckon this is going to be the same. And yep, already 10-second advantage. So really doesn't look like anyone can stop me in this event, from what I can see. So 30 points, and not really much else I can say at this point. Will anyone finish? Okay. A few of them finish actually, but the bottom two did not finish. Anyway, 3 races down, and we still have another 2 to go. And this time the RS Turbo is starting up front. And once again, we only scored 29 points if we win, so suffice to say, the point scores that we get with some of these races, I think a lot of them are pretty inconsistent with the difficulty depending on the races. I think in a lot of ways these are just random number generators when it comes to overall point scores. Because there have definitely been some races kind of had to pause there, or else I would have gone into the wall because I just sneezed. Okay, back to what I was saying. Oh yeah, the point scores don't exactly paint the full picture of knowing if whether or not the race you're going to do is really going to be easy or hard. Because some point scores are less consistent with knowing if whether or not a race is actually going to be hard, and other ones I think in a lot of ways are more rewarding, but also less. But also in some cases, you know, less challenging than what the scores might suggest. It's kind of a combination of things, if you follow me. And that's what, in some cases, I am trying to make sure I at least give you the heads and tails approach of how I see it. And the wheel spin I get from the front tyres. But at least they don't last very long. You know, if the Pink Yaris somehow does turn out to be available for purchase in the used car dealership, I might just go up and get it. You know, just for the memes. And also because, well, it's the only GT meme that was not made by a horrible person. It's pretty much the only GT meme that really, in a lot of ways, deserves to exist, in my opinion. Anyway, rounding off the final corner, and there we go, 4 for 4. And because the RS Turbo was actually out in clear air this time, it's a 1-2 for the RS Turbos. And everyone manages to finish. Cool and good. Okay, one event to go. Or one race to go, I should say. Yeah, one race to go. Let's go and do it. Okay, final race. As we are at Autumn Ring. And unfortunately for this event, there is no pink Vitz in the field. I'm also not sure if whether that pink Vitz is up for sale in the used car lot either. I mean, if it is, I'll pretty much buy it just because of the meme, but I won't get to use it because, well, it's not exactly available. It's not exactly available to purchase when I looked in the used car lot. I'm also not sure if it's still going to be available or not, but I at least wanted to see if whether or not I could buy one, but fortunately it just wasn't meant to be. And it doesn't look like the other turbo is really going to get past him either. Unless I actually gave him some pace, but I don't think I did. I wanted to try and see if that RS turbo was going to pass him, but now I am pretty convinced in saying he most likely will not pass him. Although one thing that is interesting is the fact that they did actually use the Toyota Yaris as being the first car that you drive in the license center of Gran Turismo 2. I think if I remember it was the 100 meter test where the Yaris appeared as the first car you drive. I also might actually call it a day once I'm done here because, well, because the pollen has risen again, my voice is not in the best of conditions right now. So, round the spiral for the last time. Really looks as though at this point, like, my domination has been pretty much undeniable, I would say. And on the front straightaway, and there we go. Picked him off one by one, and oh, okay, the turbo did manage to get past the Yaris in the end, or the F model Yaris, I should say. He did manage to pass him for third, although that was partly helped out by me. So, double podium for the RS Turbos in 2 races. And if I remember, I have not saved a replay yet, so we're going to do that now. I think if I remember, this is now episode 145, if I remember. Again, because I haven't reset the date on my PlayStation 2, there's no way of knowing for sure, but I do know exactly what date it is, so I will be able to reset that. Anyway, this is done. Now let's go and get our prize car. As in the last 2 races, everyone managed to finish, surprisingly. And the prize we get is... what do you know? Another RS Turbo. I'm also pretty sure this thing is orange, if I remember. Definitely looks like a special colour variant from what I can see. But anyway, that's now Toyota done, so now we just have 3 manufacturers to go. As our next one, I believe, will be Triumph. and that means we've got to go back to the UK for our next two. So that's pretty much all the Japanese events now done. Well, all the Japanese one makes, that is. And now let's go and look at our prize. I have no doubt in saying this is another special colour model, from what I can see. Yes, it is. Orange metallic. Special colour. So the exact same car we just drove, but the only difference is in the colour. Again, not quite the pink Vitz I was wanting, but still a car I'll take either way because, well, progress is progress, and that's all that matters. As we're pretty much 90% complete with the game now, so now we just have 10% of the game to go. So next up, Triumph, coming in the next episode of GT4.